The car tires crunched over loose gravel before sliding to a halt in the empty lot. Millicent killed the engine. Silence rushed in to fill the space, broken only by the rhythmic, electrical hum of the sign above the entrance. Amelia leaned forward, her gaze fixed on the neon claw that flickered against the night sky, its jagged light pulsing like a heartbeat. Every pulse cast long, distorted shadows across the cracked pavement. They stepped out of the vehicle, the air growing colder as they approached the door. A heavy, metallic scent hung in the breeze. As Millicent pushed the entrance open, a thick, low-lying green fog rolled across the floorboards, curling around their boots and drifting out into the darkness. Amelia hesitated, hand hovering over the frame, watching the mist swirl in unnatural patterns against the dim interior light. The building seemed to vibrate with a low, subterranean thud. Millicent took the first step over the threshold, her boot disappearing into the shifting vapors. Amelia followed, the heavy door clicking shut behind them, sealing off the world they had just left. A man emerged from behind the counter, his presence signaled by the sharp click of his heels against the wood. He stopped 3 feet away, face pale and marked by thick, dark lines that mimicked stitches. He did not speak. Instead, he shoved a heavy metal tray toward Millicent. On it sat a burger, the bun crowned by a single gelatinous eyeball. It swiveled in its socket, blinking once before locking its gaze on her. Amelia looked down at the second tray he slammed onto the counter. A pizza lay there, cut into 5 distinct sections, each shaped like a finger. They twitched against the grease-stained cardboard, fingernails scratching softly against the surface. The sight triggered a wave of nausea, but the manager tapped his watch face with a rhythmic, impatient force. He pointed a long, thin finger toward the back kitchen, where a dull roar of hungry voices echoed. He did not ask for help. He expected it. Millicent took a tentative bite of the burger, the eye still watching, while Amelia felt the manager's cold hand press against her shoulder, guiding her toward the grill. The game had changed. They were no longer guests. They were staff. Amelia tied the apron strings tight and stepped up to the searing grill. The air here was thick with the smell of scorched sea salt. She grabbed a heavy-duty spatula and slid it under the lobster sole burger, preparing to flip the patty. As the meat hit the metal, the surface buckled. A translucent, blue crustacean spirit rose violently from the center, its spectral claws elongated and jagged. It snapped at her nose with a sound like grinding glass. Amelia ducked, the chill of the spirit passing just inches above her head. She did not retreat. She reached for the heavy iron press resting on the side, her fingers locking around the cold handle. With a sharp exhale, she slammed the iron down with all her weight, crushing the patty against the searing grill. The spirit let out a high-pitched hiss as it was forced back into the meat, dissolving into a faint glowing vapor. The kitchen fell into a momentary silence, save for the sizzle of fat. Amelia lifted the press. The burger was perfect. She slid it onto a tray and turned to the next order, the initial shock replaced by a surge of focused, adrenaline-fueled purpose. The kitchen transformed into a storm of impossible physics. Millicent stood at the drink station, her hands moving like lightning as she tilted a massive pitcher. Glowing, viscous green sludge poured out, thick and heavy, filling cups that pulsed with a faint, rhythmic heartbeat. Across from her, Amelia faced a new crisis. The pizza dough on the prep table had developed a mind of its own. It rippled, stretching out tendrils that gripped the edge of the counter, pulling itself toward the floor. Amelia lunged, slamming her forearm down to pin the dough in place, then kneaded it back into submission with sharp, decisive punches. Behind them, the air filled with flying toppings, olives that bounced like rubber balls, and mushrooms that fluttered through the air like moths. They moved in a blurred dance, dodging projectiles while plates rattled on the pass-through, each one hitting the stainless steel with a heavy, rhythmic thud. There was no time for conversation. Every second was a battle to keep the order flow moving. Millicent caught a glass falling from the rack with her elbow, never breaking her rhythm, while Amelia flipped a burger with one hand and wrestled a stubborn crust with the other. They were locked in a frantic, high-stakes synchronization, their movements sharp, efficient, and perfectly matched to the madness of the room. The final bell rang, and the kitchen fell into an abrupt, heavy silence. The frantic energy of the last 3 hours evaporated, leaving behind only the steady hum of the refrigeration units. Millicent wiped a thick layer of grease from the stainless steel counter, her movements slow and deliberate. Nearby, Amelia knelt on the floor, dragging a broom across the tiles to gather a pile of shedding monster fur that had accumulated throughout the night. It was coarse, silver, and bristled against the bristles of the brush. They stood together in the center of the kitchen, looking out at the empty, darkened dining area where chairs were stacked on tables. The overhead lights flickered and dimmed, casting long, shifting shadows against the walls. Millicent reached for a cup of the remaining sludge drink she had kept to the side. She took a long sip. The liquid felt cool and sharp, tasting distinctly of wild blueberries and a faint, tingling static of electricity. She passed the cup to Amelia, who drank and leaned back against the register, letting out a short, genuine laugh. The chaos of the night settled into a quiet order. They looked at the strange, pulsating room, realizing that while the place defied every law of nature, it was theirs. It was home.